Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Namaste and Swagatam. In this Bodha talk series on Indian Knowledge Systems, IKS, we present a conversation with Dr. Chhalamayi Garu, principal and teacher at Śrī Aurobindo International School in Hyderabad. Śrī Aurobindo International School believes and practices integral education as envisaged by Śrī Aurobindo and the mother. Its curriculum is designed according to the five-fold education of the physical, emotional, mental, psychic, and spiritual development. The core of this philosophy addresses the bringing forth of the divine potential in every child. In simple terms, the curriculum is holistic, integrating the overall development of the child with cultural, national, and spiritual values. It is running in its 57th year, founded in 1967 by the late Professor V. Madhusudan Reddy Garu and blessed by the mother. It is a co-ed school with an alternative approach to education and doesn't have formal exams till grade 7. It practices a playway method at primary school level with minimal books and engages the children to learning through games and worksheets. About Dr. Chhalamayi Reddy Garu, she has had an innate passion for innovation in education. She was a student of Śrī Aurobindo International Center of Education, Puducherry, until 1977 and graduated from Ohio University, US in 1984. She received her PhD in 1991 from the Department of English, Pondicherry University, where she completed her thesis on Śrī Aurobindo's critique of poetry based on his The Future Poetry. She has over 30 years of experience as the principal of Śrī Aurobindo International School with over 1,350 students and over 150 faculty and support staff. It's a big school. The school runs under the aegis of the Institute of Human Study, of which she is a trustee. Chhalamayi Garu transitioned the school to an integral education model, IE model, in 1992 as envisaged by Śrī Aurobindo. This very vision of national education is being endorsed now, presently, by NEP 2020. She has written and published several articles on this vision and practice of integral education, as well as conducted workshops for students and teachers across the state on value education, which is a Government of India initiative for reinforcing values in education. Chhalamayi Garu has been instrumental in establishing a student learning resource center to realign into child-centric learning from text-centric learning. She's also the founder director of the residential school New Creation, a free progressive school, a branch of Śrī Aurobindo International, running under the aegis of Matra Darshan Trust. Let us learn more from her about her vision for her schools and her students. Namaste, Andy.
Namaste.
So children love to come to your school, Andy. There is a lot of joyful learning that I have witnessed personally and my colleagues too in the few times that we've been there. So to begin with, how did the idea of this school start?
Well, the school was sanctioned by the Divine Mother on the behest of my late father, Professor V. Madhusudan Reddy. He wrote a letter to the mother requesting her to bless a school that he wanted to start at Hyderabad. The parent body, the Institute of Human Study, was founded in 1964 December. The school, he wrote a letter to the Divine Mother, Pondicherry, asking her to bless the school. And I think this was sometime around January 1967. So then we started the school actually in June 1967. So it was his aspiration to start a school.
That's beautiful, Andy. So were you always a part of your father's vision when he founded this school? Because that letter you mentioned, in your school, I have seen a beautiful meditation center. I've seen the resource center, the library, the letter, and the correspondence that he's had with the mother. So if you could just tell us, did he envisage you as a part of it, or were you always of the opinion that this is what I want to do when I grow up? A little bit about that.
No, not in the least. I was in 1967. I was not even 10 years old.
Okay.
So I'm sure my father did not have any such idea that I would really take up the responsibility. and nor was I having any kind of awareness of, joining the school at that point of time. It so happened that after my completion of the PhD from Pondicherry University in 1991, 92, I took a break. I mean, I was at Pondicherry, and when I came back to Hyderabad, I I was taking interviews to get employment in colleges, and I did get some openings, but not to my liking. So what my father requested me was to engage myself for a few months, overviewing the school's kind of activities and how it's running and things like that, and to kind of share my inputs about it. But well, there was no looking back once I started engaging myself with the various different aspects of the school, that I found many things that I thought could be improved upon. One of the things which was I was very particular about was when I saw that it was a decent school where the proper education was being imparted, no doubt about that. But it was a very much a formal school in the sense that there were exams right from kindergarten, and the children had uniforms, and things were extremely kind of structured. And I came from a school, from the ashram school, which was so different and so joyous. And in fact, I just returned from Pondicherry because I had joined my only daughter in that same school, and I was witnessing the joy that she was, experiencing being in that school. That it prompted me very intensely to feel that I must do something to be able to, contribute this great vision of Sri Aurobindo's integral education to the school that my father founded. And by Śrī Aurobindo International School is running in the master's name. So all the more I felt very, specifically that we should try to kind of adapt to as far as possible, to change, to realign the whole curriculum to integral education. And that was what was my driving kind of, I think, force to make me engage in changes. And then once that started, as I said, there was no looking back. I never went anywhere, and I just gave myself to the school.
Beautiful, Andy. So, from what I've understood, what you're telling me is because you lived in that joy and have had that experience
Yes.
in Puducherry, in the ashram school, and you come here and you felt that you must bring it here. So, very, very thankful to you for that because, of course, so much wonderful things happen in your school, and we've seen it personally. But what are the core principles of Sri Aurobindo, apart from the joy we've talked about, that are incorporated, Andy? Because you've mentioned fivefold learning, integral education. For the viewers, if you can please elaborate on those.
Uh, Sri Aurobindo's vision of integral education, the mother's, she has also written at great length about this vision of integral education. At the core of this integral education is the concept that every child has a divine potential, and the education that needs to be extended to the child, needs to be provided, should enable that divine potential to come forth, come forth to the surface. And the instruments of the soul, which are the physical body, the emotional, and the mental being, they should be perfected in order to manifest and express the divine qualities, inherent in each one of us. And the qualities, the divine qualities of truth, goodness, and beauty should be manifested respectively through the mind, through the emotions, and through the physical, body. So this is in a very brief way what Sri Aurobindo talks about. Hence, he also calls it as a fivefold education. The mother called it as the fivefold education.
Okay.
The development of the physical being, the emotional, which they use the term as a vital being, the mental being, around the psychic center, which is the divine center, and the spiritual education, which also connects us to the divine in the universe.
Okay. So this is very, very lofty. And to see that happen in the school is a joy to all of us also. And I remember the last time we met, you spoke because your ability to make things very comprehensible and lucid is wonderful. And I think that is something that your didis, the teachers they call didis and bhaiyas in the school, have also imbibed. And it comes through as we've witnessed in the annual days or in activities that the children do. So you did speak about the different archetypes after the movie Kalki, especially of Karna and Arjuna, of excellence versus perfection. Would you mind speaking about it once again? Because I feel this is something people should listen to. And this is something we should focus on in schools for students also, for them to know and understand. Because there is this tendency nowadays to brush aside like both in the same camp, like Karna is as good, if not better than Arjuna, or maybe he's better. And, he was somehow maybe looked down on or not given his due. So there are these kind of thought processes. So I would love your take on this, Andy.
Kavita ji, this is actually a kind of example, an analogy that uh, I just used after listening to, in fact, the narrative of Sri Krishna, I think from the series of Mahabharata, which was taken out, I think, recently in 2018-19, where the explanation is that Karna is, of course, a hero. I mean, no doubt about it that he's inspired. He's an inspiring figurehead, no doubt about it. But kind of his excellence was, in a sense, misplaced. In a sense that it was what was driving him was a personal motive. You see, a personal motive to be proving himself to be better than Arjuna, and everything that he did, he kind of directed his entire energies. He focused purely on that personal victory. Uh, of course, he excelled in the art of archery, and as you know, there's always a comparison whether he, in fact, he was, if not as good, even, I mean, if not as better than Arjuna, he was as good as Arjuna, no doubt about that. But the motive, the purpose, the aim for which he wanted to excel was something more on a personal level. As for Arjuna, was more inclined to perfect his art. And this is what should be the basis of education. That and this is what Śrī Aurobindo also speaks, about perfecting oneself, one's own nature, uh, a- to be able to manifest the divine, qualities through our thoughts and feelings and action. So the perfection is something which is eternal. It is always something which we cannot reach, and that kind of aspiration for perfection is something Arjuna, kind of focused upon, and he surrendered that effort, into the hands of the divine avatar Sri Krishna himself. So obviously Sri Krishna selected him because he was not driven by any personal motive.
Yes.
And that's what education, I think, suffers from today.
Mhm.
uh, Education is just driven more by personal kind of, unfortunately, very utilitarian kind of ends,
Mhm.
not to perfect oneself.
True.
That is not the aim and goal of education anymore. So hence, education is failing us because it is driven more on a selfish, on a personal success kind of story, rather than trying to perfect oneself to be able to be, a best instrument for the divine's work upon earth.
Beautifully put, Andy. As always, you have explained moksha to youngsters in a very simple manner. So, any other concept you wish to elaborate upon? Because I know that you take time out from your personal schedule to actually come on Sundays to the meditation center and talk to people on various concepts, on Sri Aurobindo's teaching, on mother's teachings. So this is above and beyond what is expected of a principal of an institution. So a little bit about that, or any other concept you wish to talk about that is lacking now or today in the education system.
Uh, because you asked me for another analogy, what I speak to parents about, because yes, I do interact with parents on the weekend, on Sundays, just to kind of exchange and come to know what their, concerns are, and to be able to kind of, probably just share some ideas of what Sri Aurobindo and the mothers say about parenting. We have a very strong, how should we say, a mindset of the parents, all of us, I mean, including I am myself a parent, we kind of feel that, we are responsible to raise our children. And this is something, just the other Sunday, I was just trying to, kind of explain to the parents, that we give too much of credit to ourselves as parents, because actually the child grows on his own. The child grows on his or her own. There is this life element. The soul is born for evolving. So by default, the growth is happening, and we are more of providers. We are able to provide a certain, kind of context, a certain environment in which the child can grow in a sense of love and freedom. But we really don't make the child to grow. Then I gave the example of a little plant. So when we seed a plant, we create the right, we provide the right kind of soil, the sun, the water, to enable the plant to grow in a free and in a manner in which, there is no hindrance to it. That is the best that the parents can give to children. No, none of us really, need to take that full credits of saying, oh, because of us the child has grown and I have done so much. This whole sacrificial kind of, things that we tie around our neck, I think is illusory, according to me. uh,
Thank you, Wendy. Thank
this
you.
is a divine act,
Yeah.
the divine act of the child's growth. All of us grow because there is this divine, kind of psychic being in us which is evolving, and that is the purpose of our very life, growth and evolution.
Yes, because I did read, I forget the very famous quote which says the children are born through you and not to you, something like
That
that.
is
So,
Khalil Gibran. That is Khalil Gibran.
Khalil Gibran.
Yes.
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 So
Yeah.
something what you're
We
saying
have
is
that
very,
poem.
very
We have that poem right in our prospectus in the very first page, to
okay.
make the parents to understand that we are only means
Yes.
to bring the child upon the earth, but we don't really own the children.
True. So beautifully said, Andy. And it's not easy job to convey all these abstract concepts to children. All nowadays are and they have their smartphones. They need something and they know a lot. But technical expertise and now coming in the future AI, etc. That will not translate into wisdom overnight. So we do programs like Pride of India that your school has been conducting for so many years, and you're guiding them appropriately. Could you please speak on this program on Pride of India?
This program, in fact, the title of it, in fact, National Education Policy 2020 has also, used it, and we have taken it from there. But before that, also, one of the things as a priority we do in schools, we have been doing since many years, is, kind of, I should say, trying to explain or express the third principle of Sri Aurobindo's teaching, where he mentions that the whole approach of teaching should be from the near to the
Hmm.
far. So, unless the children are familiar with their own roots, with their own cultural roots, being in Telangana, being in India, and really imbibe, the whole cultural and traditional values. That because we are born here, we obviously need to know about our culture and traditions. And otherwise, for me, that is the very basis, one of the very most important components of
True.
education. That we have been celebrating Bharat in every sense of the term. By celebrating, I mean, educating ourselves as teachers, educating the children about India, because India has such a great treasure house of culture and tradition, that it's, it has every year, we have a whole lot of treasure to learn from. So we have been inspiring children to do this. Especially we display all this during the school anniversaries, during assemblies, during any kind of cultural program or sports day or exhibitions, always the topic has been to celebrate India. About just before COVID, we started a program called Pride in India, where we wanted the children to kind of be inspired and be able to connect to the greatness of what Bharat is all about. Because unfortunately, in our kind of very colonized kind of a system of education, English education, we don't really stress upon this aspect of learning about what Bharat stands for, and the knowledge of Sanatana Dharma is something which is very essential to be extended to children, because by understanding the culture and traditions of India, we understand ourselves and we can better deal with the challenges of life, uh, in the future. So that is why we started these courses for grade 10, 11, and 12.
Okay, so okay, yes, thank you. So and of course the children appreciate it because we did meet a lot of students outside of the school, and they feel that they're able to communicate better. They're very sociable, and there are a lot of extracurricular activities. And Kalari Payatub, I've heard is compulsory. So wonderful. I wish I was in the school, young and study. And they stress that they have said that you stress on character building a lot. But how do you achieve this, Andy? Because they're also doing the regular studies and they also have all this. How do they find the time? How do you find the time? The teachers, isn't it very difficult, coping with all this? That's what the other schools will say, or many teachers would say, or even the students for that matter, that it's a lot. But these children seem to enjoy all this. Your students.
It's very possible. I think any school can do. It's just a question of the weightage that we give. Because I think we do worry too much about the academic performance, and the fact that if we do more the better, which I really don't believe in. It's not just the added number of hours which will add up to marks. Studies and learning cannot happen purely by adding hours, and burn the midnight lamp. I don't think at all, because it's a question of concentration. It's a question of trying to make the child to understand the concepts, and to help the child to be able to learn about the concepts and apply them. So the whole approach to learning is something which we should understand has to be horizontal, in the sense the entire personality of the child needs to be developed. And we have seen through experience that because the student engages in so many co-curricular activities, we prefer to call it integral developmental activities, because it's not co-curricular or extracurricular. For integral education, it forms a very basis, because integral, as I said, the development of the emotional and the aesthetic is extremely important. It makes part of the integral education apart from physical development, the physical fitness, to engage children in play and games and sports. It's something very, very important for the development. So human being is made of all of these, so unless we address the development of all these aspects, it's an incomplete education, and the child feels extremely stressed. We are talking about trying to fight stress. How can a child fight stress if constantly the mind is pressurized, every
Marks and
period with
yes,
some different subject,
yes.
constant overload of content? So in fact, this is something which makes them to come back to studies in a more, in a more concentrated and more focused manner. So the other development is something which enhances their ability to
Study better,
to pay attention
focus.
to
Yes,
academics.
yes.
And we don't, the other proof is that all these years, 25, 27 years of ICSE, and before that is the state syllabus, our results have been wonderful, and the ICSE, we never had a single failure,
Wonderful.
and most of our students passed in the 80s and the 90s. So that is itself a proof that with all these so-called extra things, our children are not at all performing any less than any other
They're doing
school
probably better than,
academy.
yes. Wonderful.
Yes, yes, because they are learning other
Yes,
skills as well.
yes. So we
They're
have
taking
had the
tests.
privilege at Brihatandi to meet you and regularly, not just you, the parents, the teachers, through the PTMs, and participated in Pride of India sessions. Currently, we are the Ghritam is a program that is ongoing from. Gritam is about relevant topics that we talk to parents through, of course, the assistance of Śrī Aurobindo International and you especially, Andy, to help the parents understand the needs of the children and for them to understand concepts like Swayambodha, Shatrubodha, Saundaryabodha. How did this idea germinate and where do you see it leading to in the future?
The idea of
Gritam.
what? I didn't get you.
The Gritam program that we just started with Śrī Aurobindo International.
Oh, okay. Yes. Because you see, we again are not able to, give too much time to interact with parents at length. One of the things that I have observed is the fact that in today's India, sorry to say, the adult parents themselves need to get more informed, need to get more educated in the right sense of the term about Indian culture and tradition. And Brahat, your institution, you are coming up with this program of Brahat Gritam, right?
Yes, Gritam. Ghee.
So the idea was that if we are able to associate with you and kind of course make it known to parents, to make themselves take this opportunity to learn about India and the greatness of India, and because as I said, the adult world themselves, we are not informed well enough, so we need to have that, knowledge to be able to better engage with children, because children raise questions about why we perform certain rituals, what is the meaning behind what our belief systems are, and if the parents are not in a position to rationally convince them, then there is always a sense of having to do things forcefully because they are being imposed upon, or there's an element of fear which
Yes.
kind of is inculcated
It's the purpose.
having
Yes.
to do in that process, which is not at all healthy, and it will not last. So the
Yes.
child will do it because the parents have said so, but without finding any meaning and purpose behind it. So
But
this
why do you
program
think?
definitely
Sorry.
helped.
Yes. But why do you think parents have abdicated this responsibility and the moral, ethical upbringing of children? They just expect teachers to fulfill the roles of father, mother, grandparents, spiritual guardian. Why is this
Yeah,
situation?
as I said, I keep using the word, even the great privilege of nurturing values and qualities in children, that also has been outsourced to schools, which
Hmm.
is really sad, because I think that is the greatest privilege and blessings for a parent. Because okay, again, a lot of it is ignorance, and a lot of it is feeling that this is something, and all the time the parents come up with this whole kind of very cliched accusation: the child spends 8 hours with you, so what are you doing? They have no idea. I keep I'd be very happy if a parent would really volunteer to just come into the shoes of a teacher
And
and
see
see
what
what
you're
what
saying.
kind of work that the teachers has to do, and what jugglery the teacher has to do with having to take 4 different sections, or different classes in different grades and different basically even 1 or 2 subjects. But the whole time, I mean, the time is very limited in terms
Tough
of
job.
trying to
Yes.
transact this
Yes.
whole kind of academic learning. So all the other things at our school, we take it out of our own interest, in the best
Hmm.
interest of the child. But
Yes.
the real learning starts at home.
Very
Character
true.
building has to start at home. There is no school which can substitute that. Absolutely no. So it's unfortunate. As I said, I would really want to address this to every parent, saying that it's a great privilege, it's a great blessings, and no kind of nurturing of values and qualities can happen unless the parents themselves are able to set examples at home, as a certain kind of role models, and then create that environment where the child is imbibing those very important tradition and cultural values of Bharat.
We've also mentioned before so that it's nuclear families now. We don't have joint families. We don't have intergenerational learning. We don't have spiritual gurus that we follow. So it's just mother and father. And if both are working, so they just assume, like you said, outsourcing to the teacher. And the teacher herself is doing a lot, like you said, and your teachers, these have stayed with you for generations. So they're obviously, you must be doing something good. The students give such a positive response that they want to do that job again and again. So there has to be some solution. And from what I'm listening and watching and seeing, parents have to, and I agree with you, take some responsibility, especially about character building. And it should start at home for sure. And but in terms of school and as a principal, Andy, what is it that you want your students to imbibe from both your schools? And if you want to talk a little bit about your new progressive school, it is called
Creation School.
New Creation, yeah, a free progressive school. So if you wish to speak a bit about that, we'd like to know a little more. And what would you want for your students and for your schools at the end of the day? We would love to hear from you, Andy.
Yes, I would like to speak about the fact that in 2015 we started a residential school near Janagaon district, just 6 kilometers from Janagaon,
Okay.
because the trust has a very beautiful, kind of 50-acre property with a lot of greenery. So obviously, the delight of wanting to establish a school in a natural environment was something very, kind of appealing to all of us. And we started this school called New Creation, a free progress school. It has really the ideal kind of surroundings. It's in midst of nature, and I don't think anything is a better teacher than nature herself.
Yes.
To be able to be amidst trees and kind of the children being able to learn from the flora and fauna of that place. So we have the same curriculum, the same vision of the integrated education as Śrī Aurobindo International School here. We have the same vision of integrated education there, but we have better provisions for sports, for different kind of activities, more of provision for being able to come up with personality development programs. Because if the children are in a residential setup, it's always advantages, to be able to mold them in the light of what Shobina.
You have the land and the space, and there is
yes. It's very idyllic, and I would invite parents to really come and visit. It's very beautiful. You fall in love with the place instantly.
So, and it is same from till the 12th standard only, from first to 12th?
Right now, it is from nursery to grade 10, but we want to upgrade it to 11th and 12th very soon.
Wonderful.
So we are working on that. And yes, you were asking me about what I expect these students to take away. I mean, can you reframe that?
Yes, please. So you have these beautiful schools, and I can't wait to visit your new creation free progressive school in Jangaon. Sounds beautiful. And before we come to which I was asking you, because we're on this topic, the admissions for this school are over only for this residential. If maybe parents want that, after listening to this, they want their children to join this residential school. When should they do that?
Residential school admissions, yeah. I mean, because we are already in August, in the formal sense of the,
Summer.
This year it's over. But no, we are very open for any parent who's interested. We would definitely
help them because it sounds beautiful. Yes, I'm sure a lot of people will be calling you.
Yes.
So coming back to the question, and thank you for indulging me. What would you want your students from both the schools to imbibe when they leave the school at the end of the studies from both SAI or New Creation? What is it that you want them to imbibe?
You see, one of the important things that integrated education also, kind of addresses is the ability of the child to be able to self-reflect. So by this we mean to be able to take responsibility in regarding to the choices that they need to make, to refer to their, in a sense, the best version of themselves, to refer to the divine, elements which are most in the forefront of their being, and the light of that to be able to make choices in their life. So I would want my students to definitely be grounded in these spiritual values, where they are constantly being, guided by their divine potential, and that should actually enable them to make the right choices of what they would want to select as a career, how they want to really lead their lives, and really depend on this this divine element which is very present in all of us.
Yes.
So for the child to become aware of this and to be constantly in that process of self-reflection and taking up responsibility is what I would want our children to do.
We would wish all the best for that, because we want responsible citizens, and for
Yes.
people to be aware of their divinity, which is what Bharat and our spiritual values talk about. And not to know that is such a waste. When we've had this education, we've had greats like Śrī Aurobindo and the mother. So we look forward to the guidance as always, Andy. Very, very wonderful talking to you, and wishing you all the very best, and looking forward to a very fruitful collaboration with Śrī Aurobindo International. Namaste.
Thank you, Kavita ji. Thank you for spending so much time and giving me the opportunity to share, some of the things of the
Our pleasure entirely, Andy. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Aurobindo International School and the New Creation School. Thank you so much.
Thank you.